Welcome to the Korea Pro Podcast, your weekly guide to understanding the most pressing and complicated developments shaping South Korea. We're your hosts, Jeongmin Kim,
John Lei,
and Joon Ha Park of Korea Pro.
Go beyond headlines as we explain not just what happened, but also what really matters and why it matters.
If you monitor South Korea for work or just trying to keep up, you're in the right place.
This is the Korea Pro Podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of the Korea Pro Podcast. It is now Thursday, January 15th. It is a little bit before 3 p.m. And as usual, everything happened all at once.
Especially this week, really everything happened all at once. Domestic, courts, international, you name it. And let's start with the biggest headline domestically in South Korea this week, death penalty. This happened while we were doing Seoul Circuit event
on Tuesday night.
On Tuesday night about happiness and depression. And then we received this breaking news alert. Technically, Yoon, according to the charges that he was facing, there were the three options that he could get were already like all very high level punishments, but the prosecutors, special prosecutors demanded not lifelong sentence, but a death penalty. And how important is this or significant is this?
Right, so they presented the case as this sort of once-in-a-generation test of South Korea's constitutional order or constitutional principles. So they describe Yoon as the ringleader of an insurrection. They were charging him on that, arguing that the declaration of martial law from December 3rd, 2024 amounted to a coordinated attempt to monopolize power by force. So his term was supposed to end 2027. He was trying to extend it, according to them.
So they are arguing that. And the reason why they, I think, went for that angle is with the criminal code in South Korea, intention is very important. That's why we initially thought he might be able to get away with some of that if his lawyers were good. But it does not seem like it actually worked very well. But to caveat this is not a sentencing, but it's a request of punishment. It seemed like the prosecutors were pretty hardcore in explaining or arguing that Yoon's intention was a power grab. I'm not sure whether or not the judges will think the same way, but we will have to wait until February 19th. February 19th. How realistic is it that he will actually get a death penalty sentence? Explain it.
It's really not all that realistic. The last time that there was a death penalty was in 1997, where I believe around 20 or 30 people were all executed at once. It was a fire sale that day, I guess. But since 1997, there has been no death penalty. Chun Doo-won was the last guy, the last former president who was given the death penalty. But he got the commutation. He wasn't executed.
Right, but what is the controversy that South Korea could actually face from, partnering countries when it comes to death penalty? I believe that there are certain partnering countries that are pretty much very much against this.
So to clarify, you're asking, how would South Korea's diplomatic partners react if the courts agreed with the prosecutors and decided to carry out the sentence as the way that the prosecutors wanted? Well, I don't think the United States would care all that much. They tend to be a bit happy-go-lucky with their executions. But the Europeans might be a little bit more upset about this sort of thing.
Let's move on to the next topic because we have discussed the Yoon case itself very much over the past year. Let's move on to diplomatic activity this week. We the same day when we were doing Seoul Circuit, we saw this image of Lee playing drums with Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, and initially we thought it was AI generated. It wasn't.
No.
It seems like they were in Nara, which is Takaichi's constituency, like her hometown, right? And they were, many people thought that they won't actually get along, but I think the intention behind such optic was to show that they actually could get along. But what were actually discussed at the summit?
Yeah, so it happened on Tuesday, as you just said. They agreed to step up cooperation in areas including the economic security, defense, denuclearization of North Korea, and searching for the remains of Korean forced laborers, which was quite big, seeing as it's the first time that Japan and South Korea have reached this sort of agreement on sort of cooperation on making history right.
And what does the summit mean for Takaichi now that Japan is facing the export control sort of coercion vis-a-vis China right now? Does Japan need Korea?
As it turns out, Japan doesn't need Korea much regarding this export controls. Even before China announces export controls, Japan has had a huge stockpile of rare earths. And besides that, I think it was just yesterday or the day before where Tokyo supposedly announced that they found $500 billion worth of rare earths somewhere.
Out of a sudden, yeah.
All of a sudden, yeah. So, good for them. We wish we could have some of that. But yeah, as it turns out, Japan is relying less on Chinese rare earths. Really, as soon as I saw the summit meetings and the photos, I want a sitcom starring these two. I mean, who would have imagined 3-4 months ago we would have thought that Lee Jae Myung and Sanae Takaichi would be getting along?
Yeah.
I thought this
Playing
was going to-
drums.
And playing drums, and also Lee Jae Myung gifted like dajeonchilgi, Korean traditional drumsticks.
I thought they were going to hate each other. I thought this period détente that we had over the past 2-3 years was going to go poof in a cloud of smoke, but they're buddies.
Or maybe Lee still hates her, but he's just very good in performing that performance, literally.
Well, fake it till you make it, I guess. And if that's the case, they're really faking it well.
Let's move on to domestic but economy. BOK rate decision today, as expected, freeze.
Yeah, it was expected. Everyone saw this coming a mile away. It's 2.5%, and this is the fifth time that the Bank of Korea has maintained interest rates. And I've been saying this for months now. I sound like a parrot that's just put on repeat mode. The Bank of Korea really has no good options when it comes to interest rates, especially with the way that the won has been going right now. If they reduce interest rates, that would just incentivize more people to take their money out of South Korea and invest it offshore. Say whether it's in the US or whether it's commodities like gold, it would have caused the Korean won to tank even more. Real estate prices, oh my God, you pointed out that just in the past year, real estate prices went up by almost 9%.
In Seoul.
In Seoul only. Well,
biggest spike since in the past 2 decades, basically.
yeah, so that's really great news because, I've been wanting to buy a home for a while, but, I guess I can wait till I'm 120 before I find out that all of my savings might be able to afford me a tiny room apartment somewhere in downtown Seoul where nobody wants to live.
And you
so
don't
that's
even live in
great
Seoul.
news.
Right. John sounds extra happy today. That's why
I'm chipper.
That's why he was a moderator for the Seoul Circuit title Happiness Cliff.
You people are sick.
And while we are on economy subject, there was this big issue regarding Jerome Powell, and there was a letter, and South Korea signed it. Can you walk us through it?
Okay, so context first. Jerome Powell gave a testimony in Congress in June last year where he talked about how much renovating the Federal Reserve building was going to cost. It was apparently around $2.5 billion or something. I don't know why renovating a building would cost $2.5 billion, but there we go. But apparently it's going to be even more expensive. Donald Trump is saying that it will cost $4.1 billion or something. I don't know where Donald Trump pulls numbers out of, probably out of places where the sun don't shine. But anyway, Donald Trump was saying that the testimony was either a flat-out lie or it was an attempt to mislead Congress, and therefore this is a for-cause justification to have him removed. The Department of Justice issued letters of subpoena against Jerome Powell. Now, Powell, very unusually, this has been a very unusual week. Jerome Powell issued a public statement. Now, when he made that statement, he didn't frame it as a legal case. He framed it as the pressure from the White House to change interest rates in the way that the White House wants. Now, cue a day later, the European Central Bank issued an open letter. It was very carefully framed, but basically what that letter said was that they respect the Federal Reserve's independence, and they believe that the Federal Reserve should remain independent. And along with the ECB president, Christine Lagarde, there were several other central bankers from around the world. That list has grown a little bit over the past day, but BOK Governor Lee Jae-myung was one of the people who signed it.
But there are signatories that are missing.
There are signatories that are missing. For example, our very close neighbor, Japan, the BOJ, has not signed on to this letter. Now, that doesn't mean that the BOJ will not sign it. It just means that they haven't signed it yet. But to be fair, the Bank of Japan signing this letter talking about the need for central banks to remain autonomous might come off as being a bit cynical. And that's because the Bank of Japan has not really been all that autonomous for a very long time. They've worked hand in hand with the Japanese central government for a long time already. And while the BOK and the BOJ do share some superficial similarities regarding constraints. South Korea is much more exposed to global shifts in the way that the world economy is run than Japan. The Japanese yen is still a world reserve currency. So the won really is not. And of course, because the Japanese economy is so much larger, it's financed by the yen. It really depends less on external investors. It depends less on how the US dollar fluctuates than the won does. And so as far as the BOK is concerned, whenever there are shifts in, say, monetary policy and the autonomy of central banks, especially when it comes to the Federal Reserve, the BOK is much more heavily impacted. And so for Governor Lee Jae Myung to sign on to this letter, whereas the Japanese central bank is a bit more hesitant to sign on, it is understandable.
So that's based on calculating what the impact might be, but a letter, it's also signaling certain stance. And is it fair to say that BOJ is tiptoeing a little more than BOK does right now?
Oh, definitely. The BOK has less room to maneuver. The BOK really depends on predictability, on certainty, and especially with the White House, with the mercurial and temperamental leader that occupies it.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I practiced that.
Yeah.
But because of the whims that the White House operates on, we really don't know what the interest rate policy is going to be from one day to the next. And so if Jerome Powell is removed from the Federal Reserve, not just as a chairman, but also has his membership as one of the board of governors removed as well, that will send a very clear signal that the executive office has direct control over America's monetary policy. And the BOK really cannot afford any more unpredictability than it is already facing.
These are really big, shifts and wins that you're mentioning. But when it comes to going back to domestic politics a little bit, it seems like South Korean parties, the major parties, are like so distracted right now with internal issues.
They have
don't
their
really
own scandals
comment all
going
that
on.
much on these stuff. Speaking of which, let's talk about PPP just for a second. Han Dong-un, the former leader, has been expelled from party membership.
They've undertaken measures to expel him. They're still sort of delaying the process because many pro-Han Dong-hun supporters have come out to PPP forums saying that they will protest the decision
And
if it
also
is
there
made.
are like 30-something lawmakers within the party right now, sitting lawmakers who are pro-Han Dong-un faction, right? And it's not
Indeed,
such a
yeah.
great calculation and right before the June local election, right?
Indeed, yeah.
But regarding going back to the death penalty and related cases, it actually wasn't just Yoon, but also related figures as well. Kim Yong-hyun, the former defense minister and the key man of the martial law, he received a
Life imprisonment.
Life imprisonment, and also Do Sang-won, who got 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
He was the 롯데리아 guy who was the former
Intelligence commander.
intelligence commander who wielded power being close to
Right.
Kim, right?
And there were
The shaman.
The shaman, yeah.
And there were like 5 other defendants that were given around about 10 to 20-year prison sentences.
And interestingly, Yeo In-hung, the former commander
Yes, yeah.
of the
Counterintelligence.
The military, actually, South Korean military admitted that he did provoke North Korea and it is an 이적죄.
Right,
the enemy.
so they did find him guilty of the general treason.
Treason, yeah.
Yeah, so it's as you said, it's 일반 이적죄. Basically, it follows on from what the Special Council of Insurrection, they flagged him and Yoon and the former defense minister Kim Yong-hyun for essentially aiding the enemy in provoking a sort of second Korean War, so to speak. So this relates directly to the covert drone operation or multiple drone operations in October 2024. When South Korea allegedly sent military reconnaissance drones to Pyongyang and then dropped a bunch of anti-regime leaflets, which caused this whole inter-Korean incident where trash balloons and so on and so forth went on. So right now it does look like they're finding or putting the crumbs together and finding the rest of the cake, but it doesn't look very good for the people that were involved.
Okay. And also there is a renewed drone-related controversy between the two Koreas. If you want to know more, visit nknews.org.
Looking to stay informed about South Korea's fast-evolving political, business and cultural landscape? Join us on Korea Pro, the go-to resource for in-depth analysis expertly curated by top-tier professionals. And now you can pick the membership level that best suits your needs, thanks to our new subscription packages. Starting at just $199 annually, you can access daily analysis and our weekly podcast. Or try our premium membership package, which offers additional perks such as executive briefings, monthly reports and forecasts, networking receptions and event opportunities, as well as much, much more. To find the best fit for you, just head to signup.koreapro.org and become a member today.
Week ahead, any important diplomatic engagements planned in the next week?
Right, so the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, she will visit South Korea between the 17th and 19th for a summit with President Lee. The Blue House has said that it is at Lee's invitation, so it is the first state visit by an Italian leader in 19 years. They will most likely talk about, economic security, sort of diplomatic relations between the two countries and moving that forward.
And space and defense related cooperations probably too,
Indeed,
right?
yeah.
I wonder what gifts they'll give each other. I'm curious about this. The Lee administration is really good at giving gifts to their foreign leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, whatever happened to that Supreme Court ruling that we were expecting with Trump's tariff?
You're talking about the reciprocal tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
It got delayed again.
Mm-hmm.
This was the second time that the Supreme Court delayed its ruling. And, it's not like as if the entire world depends on trade predictability and they're waiting on 9 people who wear black bathrobes to work to actually get stuff done and to actually give their opinion because, these unelected people are so important to everyone. But yeah, they didn't actually make a ruling. And we don't know when they will.
Today, John.
Yeah, and on that happy note, all of this information will be in your inbox on 2 p.m. on a Monday.
Bye.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in.
If you want to know more, sign up for our daily executive briefings. We'll brief you on all you need to know from the past 24 hours and why it matters, delivered to your inbox every morning.
If you want to stay ahead of the curve, sign up for Korea Pro to get a full package of insights, from daily expert analysis to profiles, month in review, week ahead, and more.
And until next time, I'm Jeongmin Kim.
I'm Joon Ha Park.
And I'm John Lee, and we'll see you next time on the Korea Pro Podcast.